Hey everyone, this is Liqua. CPUs are integrating more and more functions every year, with more I/O moving directly into the processor itself. So what happens to the old Southbridge chip? Does it still have a reason to exist? Today, let's talk about the future of the motherboard chipset. And if there's a Southbridge, does that mean there was also a Northbridge? Yep, there actually was. Back then, motherboards had two major chips. The Northbridge handled the high-speed stuff, like memory and graphics. The Southbridge handled connectivity, things like USB, storage, and networking. At the time, the division was very clear. Everything had its own role. But in 2008, Intel moved memory and PCIe control directly into the CPU. AMD quickly followed in 2011. And from that point on, the Northbridge basically disappeared. Well, not exactly disappeared. Its functions were absorbed by the CPU and chipset, which means the Southbridge became one of the most important chips on the motherboard. Intel now calls it the PCH, while AMD used the name FCH. As semiconductor manufacturing improved, CPUs became more powerful. They could also integrate more hardware directly. Things like SATA and USB controllers started moving into the processor, and devices like NCs, audio chips, and Wi-Fi cards can now communicate directly over PCIe. So if motherboards eventually remove the chipset entirely, that honestly wouldn't be surprising. Motherboards may eventually become little more than connection platforms, and AMD is already moving in that direction. Some entry-level AMD platforms no longer use a separate chipset at all. Many traditional Southbridge functions have already been integrated into the CPU SoC. Some x86 processors, like the Xiaoshin KX600, already integrate both Northbridge and Southbridge functionality. On boards like these, there's no need for a separate chipset anymore. So why are manufacturers removing the Southbridge? Older CPUs simply didn't have enough space. Even the fabrication process feels outdated now. They couldn't fit all the I/O controllers inside. So those functions had to be outsourced to the chipset. But today is different. With 7 nanometers, 5 nanometers, and even 3 nanometers processes, modern CPUs have enough transistor density to integrate USB, SATA, and PCIe controllers directly. This reduces latency, eliminates extra chipset hops, simplifies motherboard design, and lowers BOM costs. Small form factor builders absolutely love this. Mobile platforms are already fully SoC-based, and desktops are slowly heading there too. It's only a matter of time. But if the Southbridge disappears, what do we actually lose? The answer is simple: connectivity. The chipset's job was handling expansion and I/O. If the chipset goes away, native motherboard connectivity may shrink as well. For NAS users and content creators, the expansion options we once took for granted could become increasingly limited. In the future, expandability may depend entirely on CPU PCIe lanes, which also means PCIe expansion cards will become even more important. Budget motherboards may keep only minimal I/O, just enough for basic users, while everything else gets handled through add-in cards. And honestly, Liqua saw this trend coming years ago. A huge part of our product lineup is built around PCIe expansion, including our latest Mega Southbridge expansion solutions. No matter how motherboards evolve, we'll keep focusing on expanding connectivity. Every generation of chipset simplification is really the industry moving toward a more modular and specialized architecture. Future computers won't necessarily have fewer functions, they'll just separate them differently. The CPU handles computing power, the motherboard provides the framework, and Liqua gives you more connectivity options. The disappearance of the Southbridge isn't the end of expansion. It marks the beginning of specialized expansion. While the industry keeps simplifying, Liqua keeps creating more possibilities for your devices, giving your setup one more option. And finally, Liqua is developing a new lineup of what we call the Big Southbridge expansion cards. So what ports do you want most? More USB? More SATA? 10 GB networking? More M.2 slots? Tell us down in the comments. We'll seriously review every suggestion. And if these products enter mass production, we'll send discount codes to people who contributed ideas. Thanks for watching. This is Liqua. See you in the next one.